Welcome back to Programming with R and Matlab. My name is Ian and I'm Finance Teaching Assistant at Stockholm Business School. Today it is the last video of MATLAB section and we are going to do our final touches in our algorithm to make it more user-friendly and usable for us. We're going to work on the fifth block where we need to show the top 10 stocks and which we included to the portfolio. And also we would like to see the cumulative returns, and we would like to compare them to our benchmark or market or RMX 30 index. And also we're going to show which stocks you have to include to your portfolio today. So we're going to show the portfolio which was formed at the latest data point. So for this we need to calculate daily log returns of our portfolio, and we need to calculate it for each day, and we're going to use this algorithm. Also, I want to point out that the portfolio returns that we're using, first of all, equally weighted portfolio, which means that the returns of our portfolio is going to be just an average of returns for the each day. Excuse me. Is going to be an average of the returns of the stocks which form our portfolio. So pretty much what we're going to do, we're going to sum up all the returns of the stocks of our portfolio for the specific time point, and then we're going to divide it by the number of the stocks which in our portfolio. So if it is 10, we're going to select all 10 returns and then divide it by 10. If it is 2, just 2, and so on. Before starting with the code, I would like to pay your attention at this timeline. So this timeline, it represents prices and also how they were changing during the time. And let's say we're standing here, and right now there is no buying signal. The stock should not be included in our portfolio by any means. So right now we're not doing anything with it, we're just throwing it away. But then at some point we have a buy signal. So the signal that we have to include it to our portfolio according to our whole strategy, not only moving averages. It means like Sharpe ratio and after trainer ratio. Filtering, it says that we have to include the stock. And today it's 100 crowns. Then let's say that the next day is going to be 130 crowns, and we're going to sell it. Then the question to you would be, when are we forming our portfolio and when are we having our returns? Well, we were forming our portfolio in here, and then we had only our returns at the next time period. Actually, we're not only having returns from the last time period, from the previous time period in here, but also we're forming a new portfolio which is going to be used to calculate the returns in the next periods. This is quite important because we're going to use it in our coding. So let's go to our code. Here it is. Here we're forming the portfolio. So let's say we're standing here right now. We formed our portfolio, but what we are missing the returns of this portfolio. And since we said that our portfolio matrix in here, it's a matrix each element of which is 0, unless we're including the stock. In case we include the stock, the 0 is changed to the identifier of the stock, which help us to track it in the total database of the stocks. Then it's pretty easy to say how many stocks we have in our previous portfolio. We just need to calculate how many times elements are more than 0. So what we're doing here, I'm using the loop we created in sorting by trainer ratio measures. We're going to use the same loop because here we're forming and calculating the returns. So when it can say and, then you can include it in the loop. Alternatively, I could have done 2 loops, which would be completely the same, but usually we'd like to have as few loops as possible because they take additional time. So pretty much right now, computer will run it for all the numbers between 1 and 10. And imagine if you're going to have the portfolio of thousands of stocks. Well, it may be quite a while. So you would like to keep loops as few loops as possible, and also because loops can be a little bit tricky to understand. This is also why it is better to write it in the same place. So we would like to check if the portfolio, if the element portfolio, yeah. So here we're referring to the portfolio in the time period -1, and we're taking it, and here ID represents the stock 1, 2, 3, and up to 10. You see here ID is changing from 1 to 10, and we want to make sure that it will be more than 0. In this case, if it is more than 0, we would like to add to our portfolio returns. Oh, we didn't declare here. Let's declare it that our portfolio returns is going to be equal matrix of zeros. So if we are not in, if we don't have any stocks in here, this will not work. So this will just ignore the portfolio. It will say that it is an empty portfolio, and the return of the empty portfolio is 0. This is why we're creating a 0 matrix, and we want to have the returns for all the time periods, and we need only one column because, well, we're going to have only one return. One number for each time period. It's going to be return of our portfolio, and also we would like to know how many stocks we do have in our portfolio at a specific point of time. And we can just say it's equal to 0 because it doesn't really matter to us. We don't want to store, we're not going to use it. This is why we're not creating it as a matrix. We're just creating it as a 0, and this element, it would be reset for each time period during each interaction of a loop. So by saying each interaction, I mean that the time will change its value from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and for each of these 1, 2, 3 or 4, num stock part will have different value. So portfolio return is going to be at specific point of time, the first column. You can actually write it like that, but I'm like to write it also specifying column, because then it's just works better. So we would like to port red, where we're storing all our portfolio returns, we would like it to be equal to the log return of stock data. Now we are going to refer to this element. We cannot do it because it's not equal to 0, so we are not going to have any troubles, and it means that it's an identifier of the stock, and this is our database. Then we would like to refer to prices, and we're going to include only daily prices because we are changing it per day. So we're going to take it at a specific point of time, divide it, and let's make it like this. Let's make 3, and just so that we can start from the new line, but MATLAB will read it as a 1 line. Don't forget to put 3 dots in here. And we're going to again refer to our database. We're going to extract this stock. Then we're going to take the prices, and we're going to take the price at time minus 1. So this is our log, but we would like to find the whole sum. So pretty much, let's say we have 2 stocks, and if you will just run it one stock, it will write down the stock or the log return of the first stock, and then for second stock you want to add the return of the second stock to our portrait. So for this, there is a cool trick. You just say plus portrait time 1. So what it does here, it may be a little bit counterintuitive. So pretty much for us we say, well, why portrait is going to be equal portrait? Well, the thing is that you have to again think over as computer looks at it. So computer looks at it, okay, take this cell portfolio return at time minus 1, and to this cell you have to write the value of log return, and you can take the previous value of the portrait time 1, because while you're writing here, while you do this calculation, this thing is not overwritten yet. What it does, first it does the calculation over here, it uses the old value of portfolio return, and then it got some value, and then it overrides the value in our portfolio return. So it's completely okay if you write it like this. You can also just check it in terminal. Let's say we're going here, and we say a is equal 1, yeah. Then we say a is equal a plus 1. So first what it will do, it will take the value of a, and it will be 1. Then it will paste this 1 in here, then it calculate 1 plus 1, and then it's will override this a with the new value, and you see it's 2. So it works as it should be, as it should work. Also, we would like to know the number of stocks, and if we have this done, we have number of stock. Oh, how we call it? Number of stock port will be equal number of stock port plus 1. That's it. Good. After we have done it for each and every stock, we need to find the average return. So for this we are doing this thing. So if wait, let's do it like that, and then we'll add if portrait 1 divided, so that we are finding the average return of our portfolio. Oh, not average, is just return of our portfolio. Because we're using equally weighted, we can use of our portfolio. And what we need to do for the next, but you can say, okay, but right now if we do it like this, first of all, num stock may be equal to 0. Imagine that we have that in here, yeah, we didn't buy anything, and at the previous period we didn't have any stocks. Then it will not change the number of stock port to any. It will not add 1, and it will be 0, and you cannot divide by 0. Then you will have some error. How can we do it? Well, if you want to do it as it should be and properly, and do not have any errors, then you're going to check first if num stock port is more than 0. If it is so, then you can calculate the value. In any case, you want num stock port to be equal to 0 after you are not using it. so that we are preparing it for the next time, for the next interaction. And this is quite important. Let's take a look. This is the whole loop over here. So let's say that it is time period 1. Then we're going to have a trouble over here, because then it would be 0. So we're going to change it, let's say 50, because we're actually not going to use it, because here we're using 50 moving average. So we pretty much drop the first 50. We're not going to use our strategy during the first 50 days. We're just waiting to calculate our moving average. So this one now is okay. Then what we're going to do, then let's say time is equal 50, then it does the sorting, then it starts from ID from 1 to 10. It will form the stocks, the new portfolio over here. Then so let's even name it making new portfolio, and then here we're calculating the previous calculating the return of previous portfolio. So here what we're doing, we have 50, so it would be 49, and then it checks if we have the portfolio, if the ID is more than 0, but because we're starting from 50, it's obviously will be equal to 0, because it is a 0 matrix. At time 49 we could not create our portfolio at all, so we're waiting. So this num stock plot is going to be equal to 0, but it doesn't matter, because here we are checking if it is more than 0. Then we're again setting it equal to 0. Okay, the loop is ended. Now it goes up, and time is changed to 51. Then it sorts the portfolio again. Then it selected already the stocks. It runs the check and created a new portfolio. Then it's calculating the return of the previous portfolio, and let's say there is some stocks, so the num stock portal is going to change its value. Then it will again check if there were any stocks. Yes, num stock port, for example, has the value of 3 is more than 0. Then we can calculate our actual portfolio returns, and then we're setting num stock port to 0 again. If we're not setting it to 0, then when we're going to write at time point 52, it will use the value of how many stocks we have here. 3, I said. 3, for example, and then it will add to 3 again, and so on. This is why it's crucial when you do this type of thing to set it to 0, so that in the next interaction it can calculate it from scratch. And so right now what we have done, we haven't still showed them, but we have calculated cumulative returns during the whole period. And to show them, show cumulative returns, you need to use plot and just write port that, and that's it. We're having some error over here. Yeah, because I didn't close the bracket, so I need to close the bracket. And done. So it will plot it. We also would like to compare the returns with the OMX 30. It can be done in this way. First you need to calculate the cumulative returns of the OMX 30. Oh, actually it's not calculating cumulative returns, it's showing our just our portfolio returns for daily. To show it's in cumulative returns, you need to use sum. And sum, what it does, it finds the cumulative sum of our portfolio returns. And now we need to calculate cumulative of index mix 30, and it has ID number 1 in our database. So we need, let's call it index cumulative, and it's going to be equal sum of log returns log, and then we are referring to stock data to our database. We are trying to extract the first element, the first field, as you remember, this field over here, and we are referring to prices, and we are calculating it in the same manner as we did previously in our long stock data here. So it's going to be stock data 1 prices 1 token minus 1. Done. Then we can also plot them as well. Plot index. If you do it like this, it will plot it into two on the same. So it first plot the sum portrait, and then it will wipe it out, and on its place it will plot only this. So let's first take a look how our code works. Do we have any errors? Okay, so yeah, so here it is plotted. It's our cumulative index returns, but we want also to plot not only them, but we want to plot them together with our cumulative returns. Actually, you can run one line if you select it like this one, and if you press F9, you will see our cumulative returns. Oh, well, we are not that good. I think it can be seen that, well, the purpose of this was not creating a money-making strategy, but to show how you can create, possibly. Also, if you play with some other things, you may maybe do a better thing. And actually, as you can see in plot, it doesn't matter if you use a semicolon or not to suppress the output. To do this, let's take a look at the plot function more closely. So if you open, you will see a help in here, and you see that first you need to show x, and this is going to be to, for example, and num time till num time. Time. Then you need to specify y is going to be yeah. Then there are a lot of specifications, line spec. Also, you can even add title to the plot. You can add legend to the plot. You can do it with program. I will show you how can you done manually just in a minute. So here we need to specify again x when we're going with this one, or this one. So now again time. Then we're index cumulative. So let's select it and press F9. Vectors must be the same length. So somewhere, yeah, the portfolio returns, as you can see here, they are num time. So, and our index cumulative. So let's take a look. When you have this error, usually you would like to take a look at the sizes. So size, let's say this, we'll just copy this. 553 size. See, this is what I was talking that here we didn't lose one observation, but here we lost. Why we didn't lose the observation here? Well, because when we were creating this matrix, we created it as a matrix of zeros, which will have number of time rows. So actually here we need also to specify like that, and if you do it in this manner, it will work. Bam. Wow. Well, it's good that you can test it without investing your money. To add legend, you can press over here, insert legend, and you can move it with your mouth, just by holding the left button. Also, yeah, but maybe you would like to change data 1 and data 2. And yeah, about the order. So first thing which we are plotting here, plot red, is always the first thing over here. It's by default it's plotted by blue, and the second one would be always plot as red, unless you are changing it in the specification over here. Then you may go. I pressed, yeah, so let's get back. So you see hide plot, there is show plot tools and dot figure. So you go here and you can see which data are you using. You can specify it, and you can add title to here, to X label, so let's say time points. Then you can also say cumulative returns %, and also you can even add title comparison of our strategy performance. Even more, you may add some grid over here or like that. You may even try display name. Let's say it our strategy. Yeah, then this one will be Onyx30. This would be more handy for those of you who are going to write thesis, and also it's kind of in handy if you have some task to do and you need to have a graph and you want to make it kind of fancy. You can do it here, and you can actually do it in program, so there is a way to write it, and actually you can save it as, and you see it's MATLAB figure. You can say it also as JPEG image. This you would like to use when you want to, or even bitmap in here. This either bitmap or JPEG or PNG, you would like to use it if you want to insert it into Microsoft Word as into your report. Also you can save it. You see there is a kind of generate code. So what it does, it's if you run this code, it will recreate the whole table as is, and it creates a figure where you put x1 and you put a y matrix. So x1 is going to represent our timeline, and y matrix is going to be to num time, so it's going to have just 2 columns and number of time rows, which will represent the values for this for these graphs. So pretty much once you're done with that, you can actually save it, and then instead of using plot, you're going to use a create figure function. You can change it, actually you can change it to something else. Well, it's good because it's done automatically, and well, we're not going to use it, but it's good that you should just know that it exists, and you can do it in this way. So if you hide it right now, this is how it is done. Good. Well, pretty much we compared it with OMX 30, and now we need just to show which stocks you have to include in your portfolio today. Well, this is going to be a bit not that much tricky, but let's delete it because this will be erased. And then plotting strategies. Index. Okay. So to show the table, excuse me, to show the table of the stocks you would like to invest today, you first let's make it fancy, so that showing the information. So first we would like to clear all the terminal window over here, if there is something. Then we would like to we wanted, like, fancy print that here are the stocks you are going to invest in, and just to print anything in terminal, you're going to use function disp. And here you need, not this one, that one. And here you need to specify what you would like to display. So here are the stocks. Here are the stocks of the latest portfolio. And then you would like to go through the portfolio where the time is going to be equal to end. So pretty much we're going to put end in here, and we're going to say for ID equal 1 to 10. Display, we are going to refer stock data. Then we're going to take a look at our portfolio and refer to the ID here. Yep. And we would like to refer to name. So we would like to refer to this author. Let's say end. And let's say, and also, but let's say we don't have any stocks to invest in. Well, then we have to check, because if you run it as is right now, I don't think we're including any stocks. So you can also press over here. Yeah. If you run it right now, you will have something like subscript indices must either be real positive integers or logical. So maybe it means that this one is equal to 0. It's quite weird that it has OMX 30 in here. It should not have it, but we'll see it. Oh, yeah. The thing why it has OMX Stockholm 30 is that we're not filtering it anywhere. So pretty much here we're allowing it to be included, but we're going to fix it right now. So we would like to check if our portfolio and ID is more than 0. You see the same check as we did in here. Then we would like to display it, but in this case we're going also to show else. We're going to use break. So what does this break mean? it means that if it is more than 0, if it is less than 0 or equal to 0, then it will mean that there is no other stocks left, because all the stocks are sorted, and the first stocks are going to have the the this one temp port ID is going to be, what's this thing? View the into portfolio. I think I have deleted something. I have deleted something here. It's something wrong. Well, because if we include in the stock, then the temp port ID cell will be more than 0, more than minus infinity. Otherwise it will be minus infinity. So all the stocks are going to be at the top, and here we're checking that it's not minus infinity. So the first 0 actually is a kind of a stop button for us, and we can just write break, and break means that stop the loop, stop the first loop. So for example, if we will write here somewhere break, it will stop only this loop. If you write break tab 2 times, it will stop this loop and that loop as well. But in this case we have only one loop, so we just can write one time break. And how it will work, let's say ID is equal 5, and then the portfolio for this ID is equal to 0. And in this case we're just saying that, well, stop it, and it will not continue to the 6, 7 and 10 because it had break. So let's take a look. Are we going to have some error right now? No. Well, we had one stock, OMX Stockholm 30, but we don't want to invest in it. So here we're going to add if ID is more than 1, then there is a buying signal. Otherwise we don't want this stock to be included, because, well, let's just assume that we cannot invest in ETF. And if it is less than 0, but less than 1, but so pretty much 1, because it cannot be less than 1, we're setting it to start from 1, and it will only start like 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and for 1 we're going to set it again to minus infinity. And if we're running the whole loop, what's wrong? Oh yeah, I forgot to write and. Yeah. So if we will run it again, oh yeah, we have to run it not from here but from here, so that to reset all the portfolios. So let's do it. Good. Yeah, and you see no stocks at all. And well, it didn't help. Well, actually I think it improved a little bit, but well. Also, but it doesn't really shows you, not very informative. Here are the stocks, and you wait for the stocks and you cannot see anything. So let's make it first like that, so that it's very fancy. And also let's also show if it didn't find any stock. So if the ID, if this portfolio and so if the first element of the last row of the portfolio, so pretty much when the ID is equal to 1 here, is less than 0, it will show us that no stocks. So guys, just do not invest. We're not investing in anything. So here we're also going to say if ID is equal, and do not try write it like this, write it to equal, then it means that it checks if it is equal to 1. Then you would like it to display no stocks found. And then PAM. You see? And for those of you who may ask why I didn't run the whole loop again, well, we didn't make any change to our selection. We're just debugging this part of the code. So let's take a look back what we have here. We show which stocks you have to include into your portfolio today. And let's take a look what we have done today. We have finished our 5th logical block, and wow, we have finished all the algorithm. It didn't work that it appeared to be not that much profitable, but you can on your own try to play with the options, to select different rules, and maybe you will be able to make it profitable, or at least track the index quite well. From myself, I would like to thank you for watching this course Coding in MATLAB. Feel free to watch Coding in R as well if you need it. If you don't, just continue with MATLAB. Also, I want to say that don't be afraid of doing the mistakes in the code, and usually MATLAB is very informative and helpful in helping you how you can solve the problem. Always, if you do not know how to solve them, well, there is pretty good documentation, and actually in MATLAB, if you put something, let's say there is a disp function and you just press F1, you are getting a full manual how you can use it with examples how you are using it. Well, as people say, if there is a will, there is a way. So thank you for the watching, and take care. Congrats for finishing coding with MATLAB. Bye.